Before we start this video, I put out the interesting question, including my Taino ancestry. Could I be somewhere between 50 and 60% Ancient North Eurasian? For further context, I say, with all that I know, that I do resemble a South Asian from North India, with some Veda of the South, with some Nepal, some Celtic, and a bit of Neolithic farmer Mediterranean type ethno-races, when in reality my phenotype is defined because of my three biggest and only ethnic groups that are above numbers 10 and 20: Spain, Portugal, and Taino. So in the practical, I'm more a third or a quarter Taino looking, with the rest of the majority of my phenotype being half Neolithic farmer, Iberian type, and the other, the Yamnaya type, pastoralists, the Celtic Gauls, etc., making me have a castizo appearance, which it is stated to be a build similar looking to some South Asians and Middle Easterners. Now, back to the video. Are the Germans and the Native Americans cousins? Being a mixed human, as a Puerto Rican, I questioned how does my Native American ancestry relate to my Caucasian ancestries and other ethnicities? Through my research, I found haplogroups which identify specific mutations of early humanity. It is through this research that you even understand Native Americans. The A.N.A are an initial mixture of 2 to 3 or more haplogroups, 2 of them to 3 being subclades of themselves. It is also through this research I discovered I might actually be about 10% Asiatic, Mongoloid, and about 7% Ancient North Eurasian, which is an approximation of the ratio, the mixture of the Mongoloid Asiatic and the Ancient North Eurasians that make up Ancient Native Americans, aka the original natives of the Americas, and now the newer waves, as recent as 700 years ago. These come from Siberia as well. However, as a Puerto Rican, am I really just 7% Ancient North Eurasian? It was during my investigation I realized the Indo-European connection was one of the biggest clues. The haplogroup R and its subclades. My curiosity to this arose when my uncle once said some Germans have high cheekbones. This haplogroup and subclades are present in the next ethnicities from my autosomal DNA results from top to bottom. Northwestern Europe. This refers to the Germanic tribes. In my case, I suspect most of my Germanic comes from Anglo Saxon mixed with Irish, being at 3% as of my new update. We understood from world-class scientists of Harvard and Yale that the Germanic tribes are one of the closest relatives to the Native Americans. This in particular is in the Ashkenaz side, which ancient Native Americans were 40% in composition. These peoples of the 40% also became the Germanics and mixed with many peoples. The highest concentration of Ancient North Eurasian is a whopping 20% amongst Baltics and Finns. So that being said, aren't the Celtic Gallic tribes also ascendants of the Ancient North Eurasians? In fact, yes, albeit at a lower degree. The Yamnaya were these peoples, who in fact descend from peoples of the Belbeaker culture, who descend from the Ancient North Eurasians. This admixture should be present in my Irish, Portuguese, Iberian, Jew, Ashkenazi, assuming they were mixed with Slavic or Baltic peoples, and my Basque and Berber ethnicity results. So am I more Asiatic than we are led to believe? Do I strongly resemble what an Ancient North Eurasian looked like? The majority of this haplogroup seems to be of Y chromosome origin, the father. Just as in the case with the Native Americans, may this also be the reason why I carry Taino recessive traits, such as skin complexion, tooth shape, semi-high cheekbones, and Mongoloid eye shape, and other phenotypes For example, nose shape. These phenotypes seem to indicate clear Taino ancestry, which I assume I carry the mtDNA haplogroups from, mainly people from Spain, Portugal, and the Taino, which are Native Americans. May the connection of the Germanics and the Ancient North Eurasians explain why some indigenous Tupi and Guarani can be born with green and yellowish eyes like my great-grandfather had, and lighter hair like myself, similar to this Yanomami child. Yeah, I know. The child can be mixed like myself to a lesser degree, for all we know. We don't know the father. And we all know a type of culture happening in Venezuela against Yanomami women. One thing is for certain. I can clearly see myself, or a big portion of myself, within this mother and this child. Maybe my overlapping haplogroups favor my native Boricua aspect in some key ways. My questions, my evidence, led me to ask myself, is it that some of my haplogroups overlap with each other? Many ethnic racial groups diverged. Time passed, and finally met once again, turning my DNA results into a sort of genealogical family reunion. Or is it a family feud? And this is what makes Germanics and other European ethnicities cousins to the Native Americans, descendants of the first migration known as the Ancient Native Americans. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video.